Good afternoon. This is MemphisWeather.net meteorologist Erik P. It is 2:30 on Sunday afternoon, February 15th, and we're going to talk about the winter storm that is expected to move into the Mid-South overnight tonight and into your President's Day. So here's the forecast map as we're expecting to see it early tomorrow morning and then throughout the day tomorrow. The surface fronts and so forth are as of tomorrow morning. And the culprit behind our precipitation that we're expecting is this low pressure area that's going to be moving out of Texas, moving to the east across North Mississippi and North Alabama during the day tomorrow. And because of the precipitation that that's going to bring and the cold air that's on the north side of this system, we are expecting ice and snow across the area. Now, the chief concern is going to be across a good part of the metro in an area where freezing rain and sleet is most likely to fall just to the north of the track of that low pressure system, and then farther north from there over northern West Tennessee and then up to the Ohio Valley, Tennessee River Valley. More snow is expected in those areas a little bit farther away from the track of that low. Now, the reason for the freezing rain and sleet is because right near the track of that low there is a warm layer between about 3,000 and 10,000 feet above ground that is above freezing. In fact, temperatures in that region are going to be pushing up close to 40 degrees. And then the precipitation that falls through that then is melting, and as it reaches the surface or the near surface area, then it refreezes and or freezes on contact, and therefore we have an icy situation that looks like we're going to be dealing with. That has changed somewhat from what we talked about yesterday, where we did expect some sleet but also some snow mixed in there. We'll talk about the details on that as we go through. Now, as far as the amount of liquid precipitation that's expected, this is going to be a heavy QPF event. QPF is Quantitative Precipitation Forecast, and that is basically the amount of liquid that's expected to fall out of the sky. Of course, we're going to see that in different forms, but as far as the amount of precipitation, we're looking at least an inch, if not up close to an inch and a half of total precipitation that falls out of the sky. And of course, when that falls in different forms, you end up with varying amounts of precipitation. But if you melt it all down, you end up with somewhere, it looks like, in the 1 to 1.5 inch range when all is said and done. Now, I posted this earlier on our social media pages just to give you an idea of basically how the precipitation falls with respect to a low pressure system that moves across in this fairly classic pattern for winter weather here in the Mid-South. It's the winter precip cake, and basically from the top of the cake is up north down to the bottom of the cake is further south and close to the low. So the low pressure would be riding by along the bottom of the cake here, and where you have that low pressure moving by and you have warm air, the precipitation falls as rain. Now, typically just north of that, when you have cold air moving in from the north or in place from the north, there's an area where you have freezing rain, and that's because the temperatures right near the surface are at 32, but above that are still warm from the low pressure system itself. Just to the north of that typically is an area of sleet, and there you have not quite as much warm air in place aloft, and you have the cold temperatures at the surface, so partial melting occurs and you end up with sleet. And then where there's snow up here at the northern side of this, and then places north, then you have basically the entire thermal profile, or from the clouds all the way down to the ground below freezing, and so you end up with snow. So the point I want to make about this winter precip cake that we've got here is this is generally how this occurs, but you can have a lot of variation in this. Some of these you may have missing layers in the cake. Depending on that thermal profile, you may not have an area of freezing rain, or maybe a very small area of sleet. It may go straight from rain to snow, or you may have big broad areas of sleet and very little freezing rain, so the thicknesses of these layers can also change quite a bit. But it looks like we're going to see basically all 4 layers of this cake come into play right over the metro region during the next 24 to 36 hours. So here's what I'm looking at for frozen precipitation accumulations. The main event is going to be between about 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. We could see a little bit of light precipitation anytime after midnight, and it could take until early evening tomorrow night for it to all go away. But this is what we're looking at during the heaviest period between about 3 a.m. and noon, or 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. We'll be moving in from the west, so the areas to the west will see the precipitation first. The areas to the east, we'll see it leave last. The chief concern here is right along the I-40 corridor, and this is a change from the forecast yesterday where we were expecting more sleet than freezing rain. The freezing rain was to the south and the snow was up to the north. This has shifted north as the track of the low is moving to the north a little bit. It's trending farther to the north. So as it does, all of these layers also shift to the north. Right over the Memphis metro area, including a good part of Shelby County, Fayette County, southern Crittenden County, and points east and west of there. We're looking for accumulations of freezing rain, which is ice, of about 1 inch. Now, we could see a little bit less than that. We could see a little more than that, maybe 3/4, maybe 1.25 inches. That amount of ice is significant, and it will cause significant impacts. And we'll talk about those in just a minute. But the main concern for the majority of the Memphis metro area is for freezing rain or ice, and that is the type that accumulates on power lines and on bridges, on trees, and so forth. And now, in addition to that ice, we could see up to about 1 inch of sleet, especially areas on the northern side of this purple area. We could see upwards of 1 inch or so. Less than 1 inch of snow, though. This does not now look like a significant snow event for the majority of the metro. That's going to be unfortunately disappointing to many of you, and our snow counter on MemphisWeather.net that is running at 1,166 days right now since our last 1 inch snow may not be reset after this event, because it does look like predominantly an icing event. Now, up to our north, from say Millington to Mason, the northern part of Crittenden County, and then up through Tipton County, looking at a little bit colder regime up there, and so instead of freezing rain, they'll get some freezing rain perhaps, but up to maybe 1/2 inch, which is still significant. But a lot more of that is going to fall as sleet. Could see a couple of inches of sleet in those areas, and 2 to 4 inches of snow. Again, the amount of snow increases as you go farther north. In fact, areas north of this map and north of the metro across northwest Tennessee are calling for now anywhere from 6 to 8 and locally up to 12 inches of snow. To our south, for those listening down in North Mississippi, DeSoto County, Tunica, Tate, Marshall counties, and for an area of southern Fayette County also on this map, we're looking for, again, significant ice accumulations up to 1 inch in both of these pink and purple areas. North Mississippi, up to 1 inch of ice. A little bit less sleet down there. You're closer to the low pressure system, so I think more of that is freezing rain than sleet. But you could get 1/2 inch or so of sleet. Less than 1 inch of snow, and it's possible that many of you down in this light pink area may not see any snow at all. And the other thing that we're watching is the possibility that the freezing line, the 32-degree line, may sneak up tomorrow morning during the mid-morning hours or so to the edge of these two purple lines. So this area in light pink could also change over completely to rain for a period tomorrow morning, with temperatures right around 33, 34 degrees. That will quickly drop back during the afternoon tomorrow as the system exits, the low pressure moves away. So I do think that might be where you get any dusting of snow that might occur. But again, the chief concern in these areas, and that's a good part of the metro, is for a significant ice event. Mostly rain down here to the south of the metro. And I'll mention then also that, remember, those lines can and will shift just slightly. So that is our that is as of 2:30 this afternoon. That is our best guess. As far as impacts are concerned, travel is going to be hazardous and could be considered dangerous from rush hour tomorrow morning and throughout the day tomorrow. Bridges and overpasses especially, they will be the first to ice up if we see this freezing rain as we're forecasting right now. Those bridges and overpasses will freeze up even with the brine that's already been put down on them. We expect perhaps periods of moderate rain that freezes on contact, and when that happens, then we build up ice fairly quickly. So we do not recommend that you travel tomorrow during the day if possible, and just watch those temperatures and watch the radar and so forth. Keep an eye on it, but we're going to dissuade you from traveling unless necessary tomorrow. For the freezing rain areas that we outlined, which is a good part of the metro, tree and power line damage is possible, especially when you get above about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice. When you start getting 1/2 inch of ice, the branches start swaying and drooping. The power lines start accumulating as well. The only saving grace out of this perhaps is that even though we have perhaps heavy precipitation or moderate precipitation during the morning tomorrow, If it's coming down fairly quickly, it actually has less time to freeze and it runs off. So that may be a saving grace out of this. We may not end up with a full inch thick of ice because it comes down heavy enough that a lot of it runs off. But if we do get a quarter to a half inch of accumulation on trees and power lines, expect some damage, and that will lead to scattered power outages. I cannot certainly rule out that some areas are going to lose power tomorrow if we get the forecasted amount of freezing rain. There are a few school systems that are scheduled to be open tomorrow. I know, thankfully, it is a federal holiday and many school systems are out. That is very good news. Hopefully, we have a lot of people that are staying home just because they have the day off tomorrow. But those that are scheduled to be open will probably close. I am not a superintendent. I do not make that call. So don't yell at us if you're if you don't like the decision that's made. But given what we're looking at now, and this is fairly widespread knowledge from many different sources, hopefully that will be the case. But it doesn't mean you'll be able to go out and play in the snow unless you're probably from Tipton County north. Now that we have a very, very cold air also moving in behind this, we're going to stay most likely below freezing through the day tomorrow for most folks, especially those from I-40 north. Tuesday, the precipitation will be done, but temperatures will only reach, again, the low 30s for highs, maybe a little bit of sun, but we have another big trough that's moving through that could bring some snow flurries or light snow, scattered snow showers from Tuesday evening to Wednesday morning. So we're going to see temperatures remain at or below freezing Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, very cold air behind it. Again, highs probably near 30 Wednesday and Thursday with lows down in the teens. So any of this ice and snow that falls could last much of the week. Roads will obviously slowly improve over the couple of day period as we get some traffic on it, and as you get a little bit of sunshine and temperatures up near 32, that will help the roads significantly. But if we've got a little bit of snow and some ice and so forth on exposed surfaces, on ground cover and so forth, that could actually stick around much of the week. We don't expect highs to get back above freezing into the mid to upper 30s until late this week. Here's some winter weather preparedness tips that we want to just make sure that everyone's aware of. So things that you should be doing this afternoon and evening to make sure that you are prepared. The items there on the left are good items to have in case of winter weather, in the case that we have now. Flashlights, radios, NOAA weather radios, all with extra batteries. If power goes out, you're going to want a way to be able to see and to get information. 2-day supply of food and water is generally recommended. I have seen some pictures of the grocery stores. It looks like everybody is out getting their bread and milk so we can have French toast for a week. But it is a good idea to have a couple of days worth of food and water around just in case. Warm clothing and sturdy shoes. You certainly want to make sure that, especially if your power goes out, be careful with those generators and so forth. We don't want to start any fires or anything like that. So be careful with those, but make sure you have that warm clothing handy, of course. It is wintertime. We're used to cold weather, but it's good to have that ready and the sturdy shoes there as well. Extra blankets and sleeping bags if needed. It is always a good idea to have photo ID or driver's license, car keys, cell phone, and cash on hand. You just never know, then it's always a good idea to have that stuff available. Make sure you're taking care of your pets and the little ones that are around as well. If you need an extra couple of days of formula for the baby or some pet food, make sure that you have that in stock as well, so that if you can't get to the store for a couple of days, you'll be okay there. Basic first aid items and medications, always a good idea to have that on hand as well. So again, we're not proposing that you won't be able to get out of the house for a week, but a couple of days of items is a good thing to have on hand. Of course, know and share your plan ahead of time. Don't forget your pets. Don't leave that water bowl sitting out on the back patio and expect that it won't freeze. You need to make sure you're taking care of them. Bring them inside if you can. Certainly, we expect you to understand the impacts, which we've just talked about, and know the timing and what is exactly expected so you can prepare. It's always good to have multiple trusted sources for information as well. We certainly appreciate you trusting MemphisWeather.net as one of those. The Weather Service, NOAA Weather Radio, local TV and radio. Make sure that you know where you're getting your information, and I'll just make one quick point, and that is if you see a lot of these snow accumulation maps floating around, beware the share. Don't send those out if they don't come from a trusted local source that can explain that to you, especially with a mixed precipitation type. A lot of these maps are showing that as all snow, and they're showing exorbitant amounts of snowfall. They are not correct. Do not share them. Finally, we will give you a couple of other pieces of information here. Find those local sources you trust and stick with them. They're going to keep you updated and give you the best information. Be careful of using national forecasts from mobile applications. These things, I've seen them floating around again today. A couple of people have sent me some from various national apps. We call them crap apps. We didn't make up that name, but we sure agree with it. And they're showing things like 8 inches of snow, 12 inches of snow. That is just not the case. They come from one particular model run. They aren't a forecaster that is a human-generated weather. They're coming from a machine, and you get what you pay for in those things. The forecast will change as this event unfolds. So I showed you what our accumulation map was going to look like, what we think it might look like, but if that low pressure tracks 25 miles north or south, that changes things completely. I'm recording this at 2:30 this afternoon on Sunday afternoon. By 9 o'clock tonight, that map is probably invalid. Slight changes in that track could have a significant effect on the end result, and we certainly invite you to stay with us. We will continue to keep you updated throughout the afternoon and evening. We'll be with you starting early tomorrow morning and throughout the day tomorrow. Follow us at MemphisWeather.net on Facebook and on the web. We are at Memphis1 on Twitter, and our mobile applications. Also, look up for Android and iPhones. You can look up MemphisWeather.net in your app store, download that, and we'll be providing information through there as well. You've got our latest forecast, and you can also follow our Twitter feed on there. Even if you are not on Twitter, you can see the information that we're posting right there. So I hope everybody stays safe and stays warm. Please take care of those that are around you. Take care of your pets and small children as well. And hopefully we don't have too many power outages to talk about tomorrow. But be prepared, and we'll hopefully get through this without too much problem. So for MemphisWeather.net, I am meteorologist Erik P, and we'll talk to you again soon.